Welcome to the Church of Thomas. Gnostics Described, 2:1811. Recently I read a book called The Gospel of Thomas, Annotated and Explained. The series editor was Andrew Harvey, and it was Dale's study thing about the Gospel of Thomas till she met me. Now what's interesting is that because he's a Trinitarian, he had described the Gospel of Thomas and Thomas Christians as Gnostic, and we're not, obviously. But it was interesting what he had to say about Gnostics. Here's sort of a short rundown of what Gnostics are considered to be. They believe that the world is ruled by Satan, or a demonic god. To get to heaven, you must negotiate the obstacle course that is set up by the demons / archons who require souls to survive. The goal is to fight your way through these spheres of influence that are guarded by these demons, and heaven is the highest sphere. So once you've fought through all the different spheres, think of it as one of those video games that you fight your way and find clues and then move to the next higher level. Further, Trinitarians analysis the Gnostics developing false beliefs. Now, this is interesting because all humans do. Identify with Judaism, well, so did the Arians, and go back to heaven with knowledge. So the knowledge you gain through fighting your way through all these spheres. Let's start out with the Gospel of Thomas, Reconciler Gospel of Thomas, verse 113. Jesus' students asked, "When will heaven come?" And Jesus said, "It will not come by waiting for it. It will not be a matter of saying, 'Here it is,' or 'There it is.' Heaven and the One are already spread upon the earth, and the people do not see it. They fill the same spaces." Now, taking this verse from the Gospel of Thomas, I'm going to answer some of the things here. Number one, earth is an overlay, like a layer cake. There's earth and heaven and hell. And because they're occupying the same spaces, then yes, there is an influence of this demonic god called Satan. But Satan isn't a god, he's a fallen angel. Now, what's interesting is that they have the reaching for knowledge in a hierarchical sort of way. Now, most people know that, yeah, it takes sort of concentrating on being a good person on a regular basis to get better. It's practicing. It's like a muscle. You don't get better unless you use it. But there are flashes of insight that are totally unrelated to the obstacles that we face here in earth. In this world, there are lessons, and that is why God has sent us here. The idea that God sent us here so that we could fight our way through basically a Dungeons and Dragons video game is ridiculous. It is demons who take energy from us, which is in agreement with these ideas, that keep us from achieving our missions in life, our goals that are set out by God when we are sent here. This is not a punishment area, so this is not hell exclusively. Anyone who sees a child playing and being sweet and smiling in their sleep and a puppy licking your face and the smell of fresh bread cannot understand how hell is here, but it is. Hell, heaven, and the world exist in the same spaces. And that was a concept that the Trinitarians apparently were not able to grasp. The idea that you can have influences from all three places, and that it is our lessons here that make us better, and so that we can go home to heaven when we're done. Hell is not a punishment. it is a purposeful turning away from God. And what's sad is that that's exactly what demons would like us to do, because then we're sort of like cattle and they can feed on us anytime they want. But in the earth, on the world, it is possible for people to be depleted of their creative, positive energy and drives and motivations if we listen to the little whispers of negativity in our ears. And that is the representation of what demons are doing. Angels, on the other hand, I love the representation of an angel sitting on one and a demon sitting on another. Well, the angels are trying to hold us up and dust us off when we fall down, get us going again like little kids. But the idea of fighting through spheres is not what the Church of Thomas has ever represented. I think that it is time for the Trinitarians to own up to their myth-making. Every human being creates myths. Every story that we tell a dozen times changes slightly. Every time we want to make someone better than they were, we start forgetting the bad things that they did, and suddenly they never did anything bad. These are myths. Every human being does that. We try to see either the good or the bad in somebody, and for some reason that part that we emphasize becomes that person over time. If that person isn't around to correct the fallacy, the misrepresentation, Jesus isn't around to correct these. So that's why we have to listen to the Reconciler Gospel of Thomas to see what it is that he really said. As for this being so totally removed from the Trinitarian philosophies, since many philosophers have seen that the Gospel of Thomas seems to be one of the prerequisites for the synoptic Gospels that did make it into the Bible, I think it's time for them to own up to their own hypocrisy. God bless the whole world, no exceptions. Angel Alike.